Hi there, happy Tuesday. Today is going to be a little bit more personal. um, and I'm just hoping that someone, can learn from just my own personal experience, right? So, for those of you that don't know, I do suffer from anxiety and depression and chronic pain and all of those things, right? And they do have a very lovely close knit relationship with each other, especially the depression and the pain. So when one ramps up, they do partner together and make this beautiful mix of chaos inside of my body. The reason I'm sharing this is because, so it's springtime. Yay. For many and most people, it's a time for, rejuvenation and the sunlight's out and, coming out of the dark and all of those beautiful, lovely things. And as I was reaching out to my therapist to say, I really, really need to come in to see you, she reminded me, Nance, boy, you really are like clockwork, aren't you? And reminded me about how springtime is just rough on me, right? It just ramps up. It's a tradition. It's what happens. Springtime, specifically my depression, really, really seems to ramp up in the depression in the springtime, and then of course, its beautiful relationship with my pain also ramps that up. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is because as I've been going through this whole idea of, oh my God, here we are. Why is this? What is going on? Is it, the pain of, inflammation from allergies? Is it the pain from the changes in barometric pressure where, where it's raining every day? It's going back and forth between rainy and sunny and all those things. Is it, is there some type of, like memory? My body does keep memories sometimes more than my memory does. And so like, is there some kind of thing that happened during this time of year that, and then going down that road of, what to blame, what to blame, what to blame. And then it brought me to the space of, thinking about the distinction between, blame and cause, right? Because I like to know causes, man. I like to know what is causing the things so that I can help prevent them, right? I think, most of us do. And one of my big lessons from last spring is that sometimes we just don't know or can't know, right? Sometimes, like, especially when we're talking about like scientific discoveries, there are still way more mysteries to the universe and the human body and this earth and everything else than we will ever know. And so the assumption that, science can tell us 100% of the things all the time, it goes against the very reason for science, right? Science exists to experiment and learn new information. And so if we believe there is no new information, then there's nothing to investigate or experiment, right? So anyway, going back to this blame and cause thing, it made me think about what is the distinction between the two, right? And what I came up with this morning is that, it's about the emotion and the judgment, right? It's about judgment. When we are purely looking for pure, genuine cause in order to prevent future whatever, hurt in whatever way that is, right? Be it professional, personal, physical, whatever. When we're looking for cause, there's not emotion wrapped up in it, and there's not judgment. We're not looking for the bad thing that caused this. We're just looking for what to look for, right? Purely. No judgment. No good or bad. No big emotion. We can have big emotion about what's happening, but not towards finding the cause. And that's the distinction, because blame is through the filter of judgment. Blame says the cause is bad. Let's find the bad. Let's find the wrong. And so it brings with it all of the, frustration and anger and all of those things that come with the judgment of bad being placed on a cause, turning it into blame. And so even now while I'm talking this through with you, so those of you that are still watching, wow, you get bonus points for putting up with this today. But what is coming up for me is, it brings about a different energy, right? When we're looking for blame and looking for bad and doing so through the emotions of frustration or anger or whatever those things are. We also know that when we are in frustration and anger and all those things, we narrow our vision, quite literally narrows, as does the mental vision of being able to see things. It really does narrow our scope. The bodily, the somatic repercussions of anger and frustration it just narrows. It's not open to possibilities. You're not seeing the entire horizon. It's just like this spotlight searching for what is that big wrong thing? What can I blame? What can I shake my finger at? What can I feel superior to? What can I blame? And that's heavy, right? That's like really, really heavy. And it also makes our search so much harder. Whereas if we're looking for cause and there is no judgment around it, and we truly are just looking for, the experiment, like the cause, it does open up our view. It allows us to see other possibilities. So that, it widens the possibility of being able to find something. But the lesson I learned last year, and that I've been forgetting until doing this with you, so again, thank you, is that sometimes, because of this whole science-y thing and the mysteries of the universe and the human body thing and everything else, sometimes even searching for either cause or blame can also add extra frustration or whatever else. It could just add extra pressure, right? And sometimes, and it feels counterintuitive, but sometimes, especially when things are huge feeling, when the thing that we're trying to find the cause for is so big, sometimes it's best to pause the search and shift into acceptance. Acceptance of, in this specific example, it's spring. My pain level, I've been healing and my pain level has been getting lower and lower, and now it's getting it's pretty high. The depression is pretty intense. And that's where I am. And maybe it is the weather, and maybe it is some stuck memory that my body remembers, but, my thoughts don't. Maybe it is, inflammation from allergies and the weather changes and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it is reverse seasonal affective disorder. Maybe. But here I am, right? Here I am in those symptoms. Here I am in that state. And sometimes when we're searching for a cause and we don't stop until we find something, we can end up blaming something whose fault it is not. We can end up blaming whatever. The last fight, the last time we felt attacked, the last whatever it might be. Versus sometimes just sitting in the acceptance This is where I am. This is where my pain level is. This is where my thoughts and emotions are. Period. Just period. This is my current state. It hasn't always been this way. It won't always be this way. Might be this way again next spring and a few times in between. But here I am. And this is it. And I can learn from my last springs. I can learn, to maybe take it easy on myself. Practice some self-compassion. Even if the self-compassion is around not knowing the cause. I did reach out to my therapist for help. I am, taking certain medications that can be helpful. I can alter my schedule to give myself a little bit of a lighter load. I can, just be aware of my interactions and what nourishes me during this time. And that's the thing that constant searching for cause and blame sometimes doesn't allow us to do, because we're so busy looking for those things. We're not noticing how to take care of ourselves while in this. And so that's my experiment this year, from my learning from last year, of what if I release the need to know the cause? What if I sit in the acceptance? And what if I shift the focus not to out there of who to blame or what to blame, but fully inside to myself of how can I take care of myself while going through this temporary state without the need for cause or blame. What can I do to just take care during this time? I have to say that does feel a whole lot lighter for me. Now, this isn't to say that I will never try and figure this out. This is not to say I'm not going to continue to look for causes and all of those things. But what I'm learning is when I'm in the thick of it, it's just not the time for me. And so I wonder how much of that might be happening out there as well. It seems counterintuitive to wait for the time that you're in the most distress to release the need to look for cause. But this is the experiment I'm running, is what happens if, when I'm at my worst, I release the need to look for blame and cause, and I take care. Because the other thing that all this does is it's just so exhausting. And so what if I wait until I'm coming back out of it, when I do have more energy and focus and ability to see the entire horizon, to then start to assess. I hope this was helpful for someone. I know I'm not giving exact steps and things that I usually like to do, but I am hopeful that by sharing my experience of these things, that it might be helpful for someone else. So, take care of yourselves. And as always, if you have any questions, if you need any support, if you need anything at all, please reach out. Know that that is nourishing for me, helping others and, shifting focus to other people's problems is nourishing and helpful and all that kind of stuff. So don't hesitate to reach out during this time if you do have something that you would like some help with. So please take care of yourself, and I will do my best to do that for myself this week. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.